So welcome everybody to the Military Wire, the special edition Vision 2020 speaker series with Mike Schindler. I am Mike Schindler, and this is the podcast where we share some of the stories from America's most elite men and women who have served this country. And we share their stories in hopes that you, the listener and the viewer, take a piece of what you hear and apply it to your own life so that you can truly live your best year yet. I want to thank our friends at Bone Frog Cellars for being the sponsor of this episode. Bone Frog Cellars is founded by Navy SEAL Tim Cruikshank, and it is a premier wine that the proceeds go to the heroes of the fallen soldiers, our fallen SEAL brothers, to support their families while they are going back on their journey to recovery. So there is a lot of change going on in America right now. I think we all see it. We see it on the news. We see it in our own families. I think family, work, and life has changed for many people. A lot of change in employment. We had one of the highest unemployments. It's sinking down now, but it's certainly a competitive marketplace. And people are feeling really uncertain. So how do we deal with all this change with confidence? And I want to just say that I am super excited about our guest today. She is truly a change agent in both family, work, and life. I got to say all three. And I think many of us are really asking how to navigate this. And Chaunte Hall is going to help us and really kind of experience all of that. You're going to walk us through that. And I got to let you guys know who she is. She's a U.S. Air Force veteran. She's an experienced senior executive with a strong business background. So this is going to be very cool. I want you guys to be able to tap her if you have any questions. She is a workout fiend. If you have not been following her, you need to. I got to tell you, I think she can almost power out more pull-ups than I can. But she's also the president of Victory Trade Alliance, CEO of Centurion Military Alliance. She's a successful executive coach. And you know what else? She's a mom. Crazy that she has all this stuff going on. Chaunte, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having me.
Yeah, 100%. So first off, I really got to say that I'm impressed by how you've kind of balanced life, or at least appear to have balanced life. I see you working out, which is absolutely impressive in and of itself. You're a lot like my wife, who puts me to shame when it comes to working out. I see you with your kids. I think that's very cool. I think that's so important as far as that work-life balance. But I also see you make an impact in people's lives. How do you kind of set your schedule? Because I think people right now are sitting at home going, I got everything coming at me, and I have no idea how to balance all of this. So how are you balancing all of this?
You know, I think first it's giving credit to God, to my family, to the support structure that I have when it comes to managing one's time. Often we look at a calendar or a schedule and we think that we have to be rigid or very specific. Yeah. And I think because you're on all platforms, so you're on my LinkedIn, my Facebook, the different, and you're able to see that my workouts might be at different times of the day. I might be cleaning my house at different times of the day. I have learned in life that just to roll with it. Yeah. In the military, we always joke, hurry up to wait. And so you're always hurrying to stand in line. Prioritizing for me personally, it's been prioritizing God, my family, and then everything else just kind of falls into place. Those that need support, reach out. I'm able to manage to the nonprofit and then Victory Trades Alliance. And I'm actually pursuing a doctorate. So,
holy smokes. That's impressive. It's impressive. So a lot of stuff, right? A lot of stuff. And it's easy to get bogged down by all the stuff, right? I think one of the things that, 2020 taught us was, stuff can be removed and you can pile it back on. How do you stay positive through all this?
Yeah. We hear the buzzwords right now, mindset shifting. And I would honestly say again, Mike, this goes back to the family that I was raised in, the culture, the environment, those around me, that no matter what's coming my way, I'm going to be positive for someone else. I'm looking at, it's not just always myself, but it's looking at my children, knowing that they need me to keep moving forward in order for them to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the mindset typically of a military member, of a service member. When you look at a spouse, the family, how do we successfully keep moving forward? There's always someone next to us telling us to get up.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we
right?
have external motivation. True. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so I don't do this alone. And
Yeah.
I think that's key. It's easy for people to look into the lives of social media and say, wow, she's doing all of this. And this is, world's great. I've heard world's greatest mom. She's doing all these activities with her children while
Yeah.
successfully managing 2 businesses and a household. And I don't do it alone. So I
Yeah.
do have that support structure in place. My mother actually homeschools my children for me.
Oh, that's a
And
lesson. Yeah.
I so I would not be able to do what I'm doing if it was not for the system that we have in place.
So let's talk about this. And I know I'm going off script a little bit, which is I only know
That's a
that.
good thing.
Yeah,
That's a
because
good thing.
I don't think I gave you the script. But you know what? Every every I think everybody's life kind of went off script this year. You know what I'm saying? Like I think 2020, we all kind of looked at 2020 as like, man, this is the amazing year of clarity and vision, and man, 2020 eyesight and all that other stuff. And then 2020 kind of flipped on its head. And if I'm looking, and this we're kind of going, we're going to go off topic, Chaunte. So give me a little grace on this, but then we're going to pull it back around. Because people started this year, most people, or a lot of people anyway, they had their job figured out, they had their career figured out, or they knew that they were transitioning and they knew that, hey, you know what, I'm going to transition. It's going to be great. Low unemployment. My relationships are strong. Everything is good. And then the script flipped, right? Everything kind of went on its head. And now, people are getting laid off of jobs and marital relationships are strained. People are struggling with this, right? And you talked about being positive in the support network, which I think is so important, right? That is truly, truly important. Is there something that you do daily that kind of frames your day or gets you into that mindset? Because to your point, a lot of people look external, and sometimes the external is pretty ugly and scary, and we don't want to look at it, right? So how do we take ownership of it and say, okay, in the Navy, we used to say this, embrace the suck, right? It was like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to embrace the suck, and I'm going to get in the right mindset, and I'll get through it. Yesterday was my best day, right? I mean, that's kind of that thing, right? So what do you do to get in the right mindset?
So honestly, I was raised in a military family. And so, if you could see my office kind of behind me, all the military accolades. And I like going off script because I think, Michael, that's really how we get to the heart of matters and how
Yeah.
people are able to see inward and actually see who we are as individuals. Why would we even come on this podcast, say this show, and share our lives with others? And I'm looking at the comments there, and I see one comment about going through a divorce and retirement, just a career change. And I'll say this, I've been there. This
Yeah.
has been not, it wasn't just 2020, but 2019 was a very, very hard year for me personally. And a lot of people already know that's what happens when you're the CEO of a nonprofit, but I did go through a divorce. He did walk out on my family. My children watched the truck drive away, asking me where he was going. And I've shared this on one other podcast before, to where initially I was prepared for him to want to leave. I understood that, to leave me. I was not prepared for him to want to leave my children.
Wow.
And so with everything that I've done in my life, growing up in my family, being raised in Japan, very, very close family. I know people that follow me, they see I do a lot with my father. We actually co-authored the multidisciplinary curriculum that I instruct. And so I share that because not being prepared for incidents like that in life, I was just devastated. I was down and out. And my son was 6 years old at the time. And he came to me and he said, Mommy, we had gone through the weekend, and he said, Mommy, can you please get up? Can you please get up and get ready like you do for CMA? And I thought, wow, like he
Yeah.
didn't want me upset. He didn't want me, he wanted me to get up. And I looked at him, and from that moment on, Mike, I knew in my heart that it's not about me. Even though I was upset for them, they want to move forward. They're young. Their mindset is, we're going to get up each day and we're going to keep moving.
Yeah.
And so with that, and embracing where I was at the time, and moving forward, my children and I were all able to take my father's last name. And so they have great grandparents.
Mm.
My family immediately stepped in, and my mom said, I don't want you to stop your mission for Centurion Military Alliance. We want you to start the mission of Victory Trades Alliance. We want you to keep pressing forward. I should be done with my doctorates this fall. And so everything that I was doing at the time, and all of my research, is actually on the acculturation within the military, what we call transition,
Yeah.
and looking at how we are able to successfully walk into this new culture, the civilian culture. And so when I see things like going through marital issues, going through, and then 2020 hits us, and no one being prepared, I think not only have I been able to look outside and gotten closer with my neighbors, but we've been able to establish within the family unit a stronger bond. Does that
Mm.
sometimes mean that there are fights and disagreements and it's the tough love? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can understand that a lot of individuals out there right now are just going through a really hard time.
Yeah.
And again, you look at my social media, and so
Yeah.
you see the VIP experience with my children. And that's something. So with me personally, my mindset was, growing up, my mom always made wherever we lived a home.
Mm.
That was how she was. Whether
Yeah.
we were in Japan in base housing, or we PCS, moved again, she was always committed to, we're going to get out the paint, we're
Yeah.
making this a home no
Yeah.
matter how long. And so with my crazy schedule of traveling with CMA, anytime I was home on the weekends, I always made sure I was 100% present with my kids. So we would wake up, we're going to go work out, we're going hiking, we're going to the trampoline park, we're ending the night with pizza, a Disney movie, a dance party,
Yeah.
all in one day.
Yeah.
And so when COVID hit, my kids they told me, they had sat me down, and we watched this Mickey Mouse clip. And it was an old Mickey Mouse. Mickey and Minnie go on a VIP trip. And once the cruise director realizes that they're VIP, she gets all excited, and she ends up VIP, and she takes Mickey and Minnie just through the ringer.
Mm.
And at the end, Mickey is just there. They look exhausted, they're tired, and Mickey says, "You're killing us with fun." My kids were laughing so hard, telling me that that was me.
Is that right? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what alluded to the VIP experience. And so every single weekend, it was a new theme, whether it was Christmas in July, or we're just making sure that we're doing something. It's fun. I'm making it memorable. And I
Yeah.
think that's what helps my mindset, is waking up every day and thinking, if this is my last day, how can I make it memorable for my children, for the
Yeah.
legacy?
Yeah. I see, I love that. And I know people give, well, I'm just going to expose some stuff right here. People give me a hard time about Nickelback. I know that's like the world's like most hated band or whatever, and I can't figure out why. But
I like Nickelback.
I love
I like,
Nickelback. I think
yeah.
it's great. I think they're great. Uh, they've got a song, "If Today Was Your Last Day," right? And it is such a powerful song, but it really is. And some people will say, "Yeah, but you don't really want to view life like that." And I'm like, we kind of view life in moments. Like, I know the one thing guaranteed in life is I'm not getting off the planet alive. I know that it's not happening, right? But I just don't know when it's happening.
Right.
So it's not like I can punch the clock and say, "Man, I got," I went to the doc the other day. I slipped a disc in my back trying to kettlebell my wife's 50-pound suitcase, and that did not turn out well for me. And so I go to the doctor and I get the slip disc, and she's like, "Hey, listen, we got to get you, we got to get you squared away, and back to healthy and everything else, and we got to pay attention. We got at least another 20 years to go." And I'm like, 20 years? 20 years. Like, excuse me. Like, I know I've kind of passed that threshold of, young adult. I'm now, I'm in the 50 mark, but 20, that's like short. Like I'm thinking 40, right? But to your point, we don't know. And so we've got to make every day count. And I love that you're creating experiences about that. And I think many people have been struggling with that whole idea of how do I be responsible and still take care of my family? And if I'm transitioning, because we deal with it a lot too, right? Our men and women getting out and trying to figure out what are next steps, what's my next mission, purpose, identity, right? Like all this is being stripped away, and now I don't know who I am. And so I really, I, I want to get to that, but before I do, you grew up in a military family. Was that the kind of the catalyst for you joining the Air Force? Was like, man, I got to join the Air Force because this is what I know. What was the catalyst for it? And by the way, I love it because women, like when I served in the Navy, we only had one ship that had women on it, right? That dates me a little bit. So
A little bit.
yeah, a little bit. Thank you for that. Thank you for being kind. So, um, but it's one of the fastest growing populations in our service now, right? Women joining, and what women can do in the force, I think is so incredible. What was your catalyst for joining?
Yeah. So my dad was my recruiter and he had to make goal.
Is
So
that
easy.
honest truth?
Yeah.
Is that right? That is funny. That's good. Yeah.
He was my recruiter. Yeah, my entire family served. So grandparents, aunts, uncles, my two younger brothers. I decided to join, and I joined in '99. Actually, graduated high school early before my senior class ever graduated,
Mm.
and I did that because we had come from Japan straight to the middle of nowhere, Ohio, where my father was recruiting, and it was honestly, for me at the time, it was just god awful. Like, you come from Japan
Yeah.
to middle of nowhere, and talk about a culture shift and change. And so I knew I wanted to graduate high school as quick as I could. I had actually homeschooled overseas, and so I was able to graduate early, and I graduated basic training at 17 years old before my high school class ever graduated.
Yeah.
And it was, and I got to my first assignment. It was July of 2000, and I enrolled in college right away. And it was different then. And then September 11th happened, and so that kind of took me on a different path.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed off base for 2 weeks. They wouldn't let us make up schoolwork, and so I always joke with my education. I did join for college. I joined to serve our great nation out of belief for serving, and I was going to walk out with a bachelor's degree. And that at the time, with the shift and the changes and not being able to be in school, I tried teaching myself math on deployments through Liberty University videotapes to University of Phoenix to, you check the box, I tried it. So very proud today, the fact that I was able to serve for right at 15 years and then now finishing a doctorate.
Man, that's impressive. It's so impressive. So let's talk about this, facing all these challenges with confidence. And we've kind of clued into it a little bit, but a lot of change in the industry right now. I mean, very competitive. We tell folks that, like, hey, listen, you know what? Companies are hiring. As a matter of fact, they're upgrading a lot of their talent, but it's competitive, and you got to figure out how to position that and how to negotiate correctly. And so with what you do, because you truly are an expert in this, what is the key for folks that are getting out now to transition and be successful at it?
The key, and I'm a firm believer of this, not only does my doctoral research speak to it, my father's actually does as well. And the curriculum that we co-authored with Centurion Military Alliance speaks to understanding and knowing your positionality. What does that mean? That means taking a look and not negating the 3 pillars of education, finance, and vocation. Oftentimes what you see, especially for our transitioning military population, is you see, let's pick on the senior enlisted for a minute. Let's pick on, some of our senior, our colonels and above that are going through what they call ETAP right now. So you've got this executive transition assistance program. And I actually just saw the other day, finally, I said, have you even asked what the difference is? Because I know the answer.
Yeah.
But I asked a retiring colonel, I said, do you know the difference? To which this individual asked the question, the response came back and said, well, before COVID, it just meant that you were sitting in a classroom with other senior level. That's it. That's the only difference. The key takeaway right there is that within the military culture, we look at finance and we say, oh, you're getting out, you're good, you've never been in trouble, you're this rank, you're going to be fine, you're this, and we have all these judgmental factors that play into our transition process. Transition doesn't discriminate. And
Yeah.
now we're seeing and witnessing in real time on a global scale that we are all in transition.
That's it.
And so it's great, Mike, that I have an MPA with an emphasis in government and policy. I'm an executive career coach. I'm an HR professional. So are a million other people on the planet. Like,
That's right.
who cares? What is going to set me apart? How am I going to walk into now or the virtual career fairs and people be able to articulate that, be able to sell myself?
Yeah.
And so the key for me, especially facing some of these challenges with confidence, is being able to look at and self-assess. Okay, since COVID, and I'm going to be really, really honest and lay it out. And I'm using myself as an example because I think it's beneficial.
Yeah.
Since March, I have not received child support. I was also supposed to receive like $9,000 back in taxes. If that tells you that, what did I make last year? And that it ended up going, the income tax, the IRS ended up taking that $9,000 because of a previous bill of my ex's owing with taxes, and because at the time we were married, even though the divorce decree said doesn't matter. So since COVID, I am out now almost like $30,000.
Yeah.
You can't make that in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So how do I stay positive? How do I keep moving forward? I know who I am.
That's
I understand right now that I do have an MPA with an emphasis in government and policy. I am almost finished with this doctorates. I can go out to any virtual career fair and articulate that experience. I do understand that financially I'm not where I want to be.
Yeah.
But vocationally, I have my resume that I can actually speak to a job description. I understand how to navigate the process. I can go online and apply for a position. I've got a successful brand on social media. And I don't say I to brag. We strive to instruct those that are in transition, whether military spouse, dependent, or civilian. We are all in this boat right now together.
Yep.
And so we have to be able to look at the future of this great nation and say, okay, how are we going to successfully move forward?
Yeah.
What I don't understand is how you can look outside your window and look at humanity and go, it's not worth it. They're not worth it. The future's not worth it.
Yeah.
How can you be there? So get out of that rut and let's look at, okay, it's why Victory Trades Alliance is in my background, because right now, essential personnel, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. I'm in Houston. I don't know how to fix my AC.
Yeah.
And so can I go get a job right now as a, let's just say, project manager, HR professional? We come a dime a dozen. If I wanted a job starting today, I could actually go become a mechanic.
Yeah.
Or an electrician or HVAC, guaranteed 6-figure income.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at these other opportunities, and I was actually speaking with one of my really good friends who just retired from the Air Force, a retired Chief Master Sergeant, and he said, when did we start snubbing our nose at these positions?
Yeah.
When did we become a people who we think we're so above it that you're not willing to go work at Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
to go work at Lowe's or Home Depot? And my hat's off to them. I applaud all of those that have been considered essential personnel during this time, who have been keeping our great nation up and still moving at least.
Yeah.
And so I think those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. You have to be able to look in the mirror daily, self-assess, and say, who am I amongst these 3 pillars? And I share this a lot with especially our spouse and our caregiver population, because I've worn those hats. I was the
Yeah.
military spouse. I was the caregiver. What happens when they leave? What happens if they pass away? What happens if? And I think that military mindset, Mike,
Yeah.
is, the continuity binder. How am I going to continue forward? And we all know we're replaceable.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
So how are we going to make sure that we're doing the best with what we have? And again, positivity comes from looking at my children. I want that next generation to have a future.
See, brilliant. I just want to say brilliant. It's so true. You have keyed in on what I think is one of the most important questions that we ask people when they're getting out. Oftentimes they come with, the stellar LinkedIn profile, the stellar resume, they're buttoned down, they're everything. They come to me, they come to, our team, and they'll say things like, okay, Mike, well, they sent me over to you. And I'm like, perfect. Okay, great. So what's up? And my question, and they're like, well, I need a job. And I'm like, well, I don't do jobs. Well, they sent me over to you. And I'm like, okay, well, just answer me one question. And they're like, okay, what's the one question? I'm like, who do you want to be? And you know what? I got to say that oftentimes it is crickets, because people have not done the work. And you said something that is so profound, and I hope people that get this, a few people that are live, but the thousands of people that will see this in the replay, is truly what you said, which is, who you are, right? And that's the key. And when you figure out, what your best life looks like personally, professionally, etc. If you go and you are a plumber, you're in the tech trades, you're a white collar, blue collar, it doesn't matter, but it helps you achieve what it is that you and your family have decided is, man, this is our best year. This is our best year. Then do it. Go do it. Stop living somebody else's, trying to please people that, don't pay your bills. I mean, it's just crazy. I think we get too caught up in that. I mean, it's.
Stop, and I think that's what it is stop looking at what other people are doing.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I have no idea what other people are doing on social media. I don't, unless somebody tags me in a post. I have no idea. I do go on and I post because I've gotten, whether it was Facebook of Chaunte, this VIP experience was just, it really uplifted us. We love seeing the pictures. My grandma in California loves seeing it. It brings her joy. But I'm living,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. And when people are, well, you're an education snob, or you think you're better than, or you think, no,
Yeah.
no. I'm finishing a doctorate because I truly believe in the theories and the methodologies and the study that I have encompassed along the way in regard to the transitioning population. I want to serve my community with statistics and facts.
Yeah.
I don't want to come at you with opinions. And that's why, at the beginning you said, well, how do you manage to your time? I do and I don't. I roll with the punches, and
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty in it. I
Yeah.
don't always like it. My family actually will tease me, and they'll be looking at the clock. They're like, I thought you were gonna go run. And I'm like, I was gonna go run, but then this came up, and so it's rolling with the punches. And some days are gonna be frustrating. You're gonna have hard days. You're gonna get upset. During COVID, I mean, my goodness, I've cried, I've said bad words,
Yeah.
I've had the day where I might have been in PJs all day long with tons of emails and work. But when it comes to understanding and knowing who you are, no one can take away the fact that I choose to stay healthy.
Yeah.
No one can take that. COVID can take that from me right now. But there's no human being that can take my health right now from me. There's no, you can't take away my education.
Yeah.
You can scoff at it, you can negate it, and that's a whole other conversation as far as being a woman in the workforce. And we actually just had a call about that last night, and wanting to maintain, femininity and still moving forward as a mother, I've been asked crazy questions on interviews. Well, how are you going to balance as a single mother? And I'm sitting there thinking, how are you going to balance as whoever you are?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
how
right.
about how about I'm going to and I need this opportunity?
Yeah.
But understanding your positionality, it is so critical because it's something that we've negated. We're a bunch of parrots now. We're all running around, tell me your why, tell me your why.
Yeah.
And it drives me insane
Yeah.
because I want you to know who you are
Yeah.
before you go take a LinkedIn course,
Yeah.
before you read someone else's writings, before you buy another transition book, not to negate them. You figure out who you are. And
Yeah.
that is found, these job descriptions, it's like sometimes you just want to be like, I'm sorry, I didn't write those job descriptions, but you need to be able to speak to them.
Yeah.
You know, you,
Yeah.
you don't need to go write a resume by yourself. There's plenty of organizations and people out there to support you in the transition, but you do need to tell me who you are.
That's right.
And so back in December, I actually designed an assessment. And what this assessment does now, and University of Incarnate Word digitized it, thankfully.
Wow.
And what this assessment does is, because I know, Mike, you as well as I do, we've gone through the transition assistance program. I support the efforts of the DoD and the DOL and the VBA, and I'm thankful for those programs. But when you go sit in front of a TAP counselor, it's just like when they come in and sit next to you. And, well, I think I'm a project manager, or I want to be IT, or and you're like, have you even looked at a job description?
Right. It's like high school. Remember in high
Oh,
school, they'd be like, hey, what do you want to do? Well, I have no idea. Well, what do you like to do? Well, I love girls and
yeah,
I love swimming. Oh, you should be a lifeguard. I mean, that's how we pick our profession, right?
absolutely. So that's what I have them sit down, and I actually have each individual go through this assessment and honestly self-identify.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a human resource manager. They go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They look up human resource manager. They look up the location that they want to reside in. They can see the salary that's on there. Then I have them fill out their level of education. Does it meet the requirements that are there? Will that salary meet your expectations? Will this?
Yeah.
Then I have them go through a financial literacy 101 in a sense. And if you don't understand the words that are written, and this is all peer-reviewed research, not my opinion, and if they don't know it, they're not at that level. So then they assess what level they're at. And oftentimes what I'm finding is with goods and services, transitioning service members aren't ready for the cost that they're going to incur.
Yeah.
Not only are they economically free falling 20 to 30K, but then something happens and they realize, oh my gosh, I'm actually paying for TRICARE, but then that doesn't cover dental, but then I need,
Yeah.
and they start looking. And then especially if you're not retiring, I actually just got a bill in the mail today, and I thought, one of those not so nice words.
Yeah.
I just took my children to get their teeth cleaned, and I pay almost $1,000 a month in medical and dental. And teeth cleaning is just supposed to be a part of it, I thought. I mean, I'm paying the highest.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I get a bill from the dentist saying that insurance didn't cover, whatever, $200, and I owe now. And I'm just thinking, so all these costs that come in, we're not ready. And then you take a pandemic and you look at, okay, some people had 3 to 6 months of savings. And so now we're well past that. Now what?
Yeah.
And there's not a nonprofit on the planet that can carry you. And so we have to, I always loved the way my father was when he retired, as he said, I would go work at Home Depot or Lowe's. He goes, if I have to, I'll go flip burgers, whatever it is, I'll dig ditches to take care of my family.
Yeah. Amen.
Yep. Where are those people at? Like, come on.
Yeah, you know what? Everybody's got to show up now. I mean, that's just it. We when we interviewed, General Boykin, Lieutenant General Boykin, he said, it's not enough for people to sit on the sidelines and wait for somebody else to solve their problems. They've really got to get in the fight. You got to get off the sideline. You got to get in the game. And if it means, man, you know what? I got to embrace the suck and I'm going to go do this job. Well, then do it for his glory. Go up, show up, and you know what? embrace the suck. You might hate it, but understand it doesn't define you. It doesn't mean you have to do it forever, right? It just means that right now, this is your spot. Embrace it, go after it. Chaunte, you and I could talk forever. I am 100% convinced on that. And I also know that my audience has a short memory. I mean, they're the Twitter generation. My daughters laugh at me like, you don't even know what that stuff is, Dad. I'm like, I know. So
I don't do it.
yeah.
I don't know. No.
But I want to be sure that people can find you because you can breathe life into people if they're ready to receive it. Now, I believe that you're probably going to be really honest with people, which is what people need to hear. And I love that about you. But how do they find you? How do they find you and your organization so that they can get involved?
Yeah, so please connect and engage with me on LinkedIn, Chaunte Hall, and we can share the link. And then also, if you're watching from Facebook, then, you know, I see a couple of you are, that's fine as well. I'm not sure how we connect or if they're connected to someone else. But Victory Trades Alliance, if you're interested in a career with mechanical, electrical, plumbing, finding out more, we try to make sure that you're given a mentor and aligned so you can work and kind of figure out, well, what does a day in the trades look like? And honestly, you know, I live in a beautiful gated community in Houston, Texas. My neighbors, they have their big old truck out there. They are mechanical, electrical, HVAC, all three. And they're able to, you know, they've got their swimming pool. They just had a brand new baby. They've got a beautiful life that they've been able to establish, but it's every day, you know, it's hard work. And I would say a different kind of hard work. They're not having to post on social media. And so if you look at what you and I have to continuously do for our nonprofits, that's endless. You know, I could be working, my goodness, till constant. With something like this, it's not like that. It's you go to work and then you come home. So that's an opportunity. And then Centurion Military Alliance, CMA, warrior.org is my nonprofit organization. And we support our transitioning service members, veterans, spouses, caregivers, dependents. And most recently, I just trained 100 United Airline pilots as they were making their transition as well.
That's awesome.
So I'm actually doing a session with Whole Foods on Tuesday. So the applicability of the curriculum that I co-authored it's great. It really is for everyone. When you said the high school student, sit down and figure out, you know, if you are in high school right now, what are you looking to do in the future? And so these pathways are there. But Centurion Military Alliance, CMAwarrior.org, and Victory Trades Alliance.
I love that. Well, you know what, for everybody that's watching, for people that will be watching, and for people that are listening, you know, first of all, be sure that you check Chaunte out and check her organizations out. It's really the time to get started. You know, 2020, you can finish strong. This is not a time to just, you know, knock off the rest of the year and say, hey, I just hope that January starts off better. Now is the time to really, truly get started. And surround yourself with people that can help you. But understand that you got to start here. And I love what Chaunte said, you know, you need to know who you are and you got to do the dirty work to get it done. And sometimes it's really hard. I was joking with my wife. I'm like 2020, like stripped away all the distractions. And it's like, everybody's standing in front of mirrors naked and going, oh my gosh, what? And we need to figure out the what. And really, I love it because I am a who guy, not a why guy. Why comes later. Who is the first thing? 100%. Jim Collins talks about that too. But guys, be sure you check out Chaunte's organizations. Please do it. And for those who are ready to answer the call and want to get started as well, I love your dog. I think that's awesome. But if you're ready for mission and purpose, you know what? Check us out too at operationmilitaryfamily.com. And if we can help you, we'll answer the call. And if we can't help you, we'll direct you over to Chaunte, who can. And if we're not the right fit, believe me, we'll redirect your pathway very, very quickly. So Chaunte, thank you for being on. I know we kept you long. I don't even know how that happened because I'm like disciplined, but you managed to break the mold here. So thank you for being on the show. Grateful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet.